The world of Elysium was unlike any other. It was a place where magic flowed through the air, and the elements themselves were alive. In this world, there were powerful the elemental guardians, even though she didn't quite understand it. She had always been fascinated by the natural world and spent much of her time exploring the forests and mountains of Elysium. It wasn't until one fateful day, however, that Ova's connection to the elemental guardians became clear. As she was wandering through a forest, she stumbled upon a glowing crystal. As she touched it, she felt a surge of energy flow through her body, and she saw a vision of a majestic dragon made of flames. Ova soon discovered that she was one of the few people in Elysium who had a direct connection to the elemental guardians. She was a guardian herself, and her destiny was intertwined with theirs. This realization set Ova on a path that would change the course of her life and the fate of Elysium forever. Her story was the story of the awakening of the elemental guardians, and it was just beginning. As Ova explored the forests of Elysium, she began to notice the first signs of trouble. The air was thick with tension, and the animals were behaving strangely. She sensed that something was amiss, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. It wasn't until she touched the crystal and saw the vision of the fiery dragon that everything became clear. She was a guardian, and her destiny was bound to the fate of Elysium. As she held the crystal, she felt a surge of energy flow through her body, and she knew that she had to find the other guardians. Over the next few days, Ova traveled across Elysium, using her newfound powers to sense the presence of the other guardians. She discovered that they were scattered across the land, hidden away in remote locations. As she found each guardian, they began to awaken from their slumber. Each one was connected to a different element of nature, from the earth to the sky. They taught Ova about their powers and showed her how to use them. With each guardian that awakened, the world of Elysium began to change. The forests grew thicker, the rivers ran deeper, and the skies glowed with a new energy. It was as if the world itself was coming alive. Ova knew that there was still much to be done. The awakening of the guardians was just the beginning, and there was an evil force that threatened to destroy everything they had worked for. But with each passing day, she felt more confident in her powers and her connection to the elemental guardians. She was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the elemental guardians awakened, they revealed to Ova that they were under threat from an evil force that sought to destroy the balance of nature. The guardians had been in a deep slumber for centuries, and during that time, their powers had weakened. They needed Ova's help to gather the guardians and restore their strength. Ova knew that this would be no easy task, but she was determined to save Elysium. She set out on a quest to find the remaining guardians and unite them against the evil force. Along the way, Ova faced many challenges and obstacles. She encountered dangerous creatures and treacherous terrain, and had to use her powers to overcome them. But with each challenge she faced, Ova grew stronger and more skilled in the ways of the guardians. As she gathered the guardians, Ova learned about their past and the history of Elysium. She discovered that the evil force was once a powerful guardian who had turned against his own kind and sought to rule over all of Elysium. With the guardians united, Ova and her companions prepared to face the evil force in a final battle. They knew that they would be outnumbered and outmatched, but they also knew that they had the power of the elements on their side. In the midst of the battle, Ova faced the evil force alone. She used all of her powers and skills to defeat him, and in doing so, she restored the balance of nature to Elysium. With the threat to the Guardians defeated, Ova and the other Guardians could finally rest. They had saved Elysium, and they knew that they would always be ready to protect it, should it ever come under threat again. As Ova and the other Guardians gathered for the final battle, they could feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. They knew that this would be the ultimate test of their skills and their commitment to protecting Elysium. The battle was intense, with both sides fighting with all their might. The evil force had gathered a massive army, and it seemed as if they were winning at every turn. But Ova and her allies were determined to not let their world fall to darkness. As the battle raged, Ova was forced to use all of her skills and knowledge to overcome the enemy. She used her powers to control the elements and coordinate with her allies to strike at the enemy's weak points. Every time they were knocked down, they got up again with renewed strength and determination. As the hours passed, the outcome of the battle became uncertain. The evil force seemed to have an endless supply of soldiers, and Ova and her allies were growing tired. But in the midst of the chaos, Ova remembered something the elemental guardians had taught her, that the power of the elements could never truly be defeated. With this newfound resolve, Ova launched one final attack against the enemy. She called upon the elements to work together and unleash their full force against the enemy. The ground shook, the wind howled, and the sky lit up with a blinding light. And in that moment, the evil force was defeated, the world of Elysium was saved, and the Guardians emerged victorious. Exhausted but triumphant, Ova and her allies knew that they had truly saved the world. They had faced impossible odds and come out the other side stronger and more united than ever before. And they knew that they would always be ready to protect Elysium from any threat that came their way. As the dust settled and the battle was won, Ova and her allies could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But the victory had not come without a cost. Many lives had been lost in the battle, and the world of Elysium was forever changed. The elemental guardians returned to their slumber, their power depleted from the fight. But Ova knew that her connection to them remained. She had grown to love these guardians, and they had become a part of her. She knew that she would always feel their presence, even when they were asleep. As she reflected on the journey she had been on, Ova felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had faced impossible odds and come out the other side stronger and wiser. She had learned that even the smallest actions could have a big impact on the world, and that the power of the elements was something to be respected and cherished. In the aftermath of the battle, Ova knew that she would never be the same. She had been changed by the experience, and she knew that she would always carry a piece of Elysium with her. But she also knew that she had a responsibility to protect the world she had fought so hard to save. And with the connection she had to the elemental guardians, she knew that she would never be alone. Chronicles of the Elemental Guardians, the awakening has been a journey of epic proportions. It is the story of a world where the power of the elements is both feared and revered, and where a group of guardians and their human ally fight to protect the world from an evil force. From the first signs of trouble in the world, to the protagonist's discovery of their connection to the elemental guardians, to the intense battle that ultimately saved the world, this story has been one of adventure, danger, and triumph. As the elemental guardians return to their slumber and the protagonist reflects on their journey, it is clear that the world has been forever changed. But there is also a sense of hope and possibility. The power of the elements and the strength of the human spirit have prevailed, and Elysium can continue to thrive under their protection. The final message of this story is one of unity, perseverance, and the power of belief. No matter how difficult the challenges we face, we can always find strength and hope in the world around us. And when we come together and fight for what is right, we can achieve the impossible